Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Welcome back, everyone, and it's good to see you again. So we are resuming the Sufi pathology class, and it's been a few classes, and we haven't gotten that far, and I suspect it's going to stay that way for a while. Um, so I think just a quick catch up. We were talking about the names last time, just to do a quick recap, right? And we were talking about what it means to talk about the names of the names, the asma al-asma, right? Which are when we call God by his names, those are the names of his realities, right? Those aren't the realities themselves. When we say Ya Qahar, Ya Qudus, Ya Subuh, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, Ya Malik, Ya Salam, those are the names of the names. Actually, see, Zubair, you may want to catch up on what we've been doing. You can either listen to previous classes or just read up to page 39, whichever is faster for you, okay? But this is where we reach up right now. So this is more of like a book reading club. So we're just reading the text that was written by William Chittick as we go along, in which he translates multiple passages from the Futuhat al-Makkiyya and some passages from the Fusus al-Hikam and a few passages from other books, giving us like a really strong uh, foundation for approaching the basics in Ibn al-Arabi. Who wants to go first, please? So we now are at properties and effects. So these are the properties and effects of the names. So we're still on the names themselves.
I could volunteer.
Brilliant. Please go ahead, Homa. Bismillah.
Okay. Properties and effects. If the names, realities, roots, and supports denote the essence in terms of relationships, they also point to things and phenomena within the cosmos, relating them back to God. The names are an intermediate stage between God and the universe. Though they have no existence separate from God and cannot be understood correctly except as relationships, they provide our only means of grasping the connection between man and God. In Ibn al-Arabi's terms, they are a barzakh or isthmus between God and the cosmos. The divine names are the barzakh between us and the named. They look upon him since they name him, and they look upon us since they bestow upon us effects attributed to the named. So they make the named known and they make us known. Ibn al-Arabi employs two terms almost synonymously to refer to the manner in which the divine names are reflected within the cosmos. Effect, athar, athar, plural athar, and property, or hukm, plural ahkam. The literal sense of athar is, or asar, is remainder, trace, mark, sign, vestige. The word is employed in such Quranic verses as, "Behold the effects of God's mercy, how he brings the earth to life after it was dead." Surah 30th, Ayat 50. The word hukum is frequently employed in the Quran in the sense of judgment or decision. It soon came to have significance for several of the sciences, such as jurisprudence, fiqh, where it means ruling, statute, prescription. The Sheikh employs the term in these meanings, but in the present context, he uses it to refer to what might be called the ruling power or the governing control of the divine names in the cosmos. Here, the term will be translated as property, though on occasion it will be necessary to add a modifier to get the sense across, such as ruling property or determining property. The Sheikh understands the term hukm in this sense from several Quranic verses, especially so that the 28 Surah verse 88, as explained in the fifth passage quoted below. The effects or properties of the divine names are the phenomena of the cosmos. In other words, they are the creatures, the things, the entities, the forms considered inasmuch as they make the divine names manifest. In Sheikh al Akbar's vocabulary, the word creature immediately calls to mind creator. Existent entity conjures up immutable entity, and form implies meaning. In the same way, properties and effects bring to mind the names, realities, and roots. Or rather, to see the properties and effects is to see the names and realities exercising their influence and determining the nature of the cosmos. And to see the names and realities is to see the manifestation of the essence itself.
Thank you so much, Homa. And we're going to continue. But like this is like already a mouthful and it's a load, mashallah. It's very heavy. The effects or properties of the divine names are the phenomena of the cosmos themselves. So if you want to say, like, for example, you've got the divine name Ar-Razaq, and I like this name a lot because you know what I think about a lot, anyways. So the nourisher, right? So that means apple is an athar or a hukm of the divine name Ar-Razaq, right? So that's a property of the name itself, right? You talk about light, that's a property of the name An-Nur from the sun. So the sun is a property of the name the Nur, the light An-Nur, right? The moon is a property of the name An-Nur as well, right? Um, the king imprisoning um, his servants, for example, is a property of the name Al-Qahar, and so on and so forth, and just goes on forever. So anything you see is a property of a divine name, whatever you see in the cosmos. Sorry, Homa, go ahead. So now, when you see the italic text, that means we're getting into Ibn Arabi's own words from the Futuhat.
Okay, where was I? At the top of the page?
No, you were right here. So after the essence itself,
Essence,
so no, no,
yes. No property. No property becomes manifest within existence without a root in the divine side, al-janab al-ilahi, by which it is supported. The divine support is the fact that the divine names are the support for the loci or the mahal, wherein their own effects exist, so that the levels of the names may become designated ta'in. If not for the possible things, no effect of the divine names would become manifest. And the name is identical with the named, especially when what is meant is the divine names. That which turns its attention toward bringing everything other than God, ma siwa Allah, into existence is the divinity, al-uluha, through its properties, relations, and attributions. It is these which call for effects. It is impossible that there might be one that overpowers, kahir, without something overpowered, makhur, or a powerful, qadir, without an object or of power, makdur.
does that
God,
make sense to you? Does that make sense to everyone? Especially this last part, because they are concomitants.
yeah.
You cannot have a divine name without an object to exercise your authority over that object, right?
So these are
Um,
inherently names of relationships. They can't be without an object or something in
yes,
relationship with, right?
yes, exactly. Um, so if you're looking at something that is overpowered, like an animal overpowering its prey, you are looking at the divine name Al-Qahir or Al-Qahar. You're looking at it. You're seeing it right before your very eyes. Because someone is being maqhur, someone's being overpowered, right? And when you see someone powerful like a king, exercising his authority over his staff, his servants, his kingdom, his kingdom is his object of power, or her. It is his object of power. Without a kingdom, where is the king? So they go hand in hand, the divine names with their effects and properties, which are the objects of creation. Yes, please go ahead.
God says everything is annihilated except his face. He continues the verse with his words, "To him belongs the property," which is what becomes manifest within the names themselves. Then he says, "And to him you shall be returned." 28:88. In other words, you will return after having been others to me. The property of the other will go, since there is nothing in existence but me. You can explain this with, for example, the name human being, al-insan, with all its differentiations and its different properties, such as life, sensation, faculties, organs with diverse motions, and everything that belongs to this thing named human being. The entities within which these properties become manifest are nothing other than the human being. Hence, to the human being these properties shall be returned. In the case
Do
of
you do you see the analogy? Sorry, with these
no, no,
things, like sometimes you have to like take it slowly. Do you see the analogy? Everyone, if you give me your thoughts, do you see the analogy? The human being with the example of God. It's the same analogy. So you know how this verse says, "And to him you shall be returned." What's the tafsir of that? It's about Yom Qiyamah, no? And it's
yeah,
about the resurrection, isn't it?
yeah,
You will return to God. But also, if you read the verse literally, this is parts of Ibn Arabi's literalism. God is also on top of that stating another meaning. On top of that, he's stating another meaning, and this other meaning is he's stating a simple fact, and the fact is, all things go back in the reality to him because it's his reality. So, in other words, you will return after having been others to me, because you will see on the day of judgment. So there's a connection actually. You will see on the day of judgment that your hearing wasn't your hearing, it's his hearing. Your seeing wasn't your seeing, it's his seeing. Like these are like gifts that belong to him and they get returned back to him because they're actually his. So the property of what is other than me, God, will go since there's nothing in existence but me because he possesses wujud and is wujud. There is nothing in wujud but him. It belongs to him. This, if you ever see and perceive and contemplate what's other than him, that's going to disappear. The thing you're calling other than God, it's going to disappear. He will be the only one that remains. And if you're an
uh,
arif billah, sorry, go ahead. If you're an arif billah, then you already see that in this world. You see how everything belongs to him and is him, right? So that is analogous to this example he's giving you to demonstrate what that means, right? There's something called a human being, right? And it's like you should try to define what is a human being. In our day and age, we tend to give like a more biological definition, right? Um, a human being has like um, these not properties. What's the modern word we use that demonstrate life? For example, the ability to grow, the ability to dispose of waste. A human being is a true biological human being. It's these different things that grant it a definition of being a human being. So Ibn Arabi is saying, look, from a different perspective, human being possesses life, sensation, faculties. That means like memory and intellect, organs with diverse motions, and whatever else belongs to this human being. So all that stuff goes back to the definition of a human being. All that belongs to him. So it's as if you imagine these different um, faculties you possess within yourself: perception, motion, life, sensation, everything. Imagine each is its own world. But then one day it has to wake up and realize, actually, I'm not a world onto myself. I belong to a human being or to the human being. So the entities, and everything that belongs to this thing named human being. So the entities within which these properties become manifest are nothing other than the human being. That's all it is, right? It's so simple. It's so obvious when you talk about human being. It's so obvious. It's so simple. But then when you talk about God, it's the same analogy. It's all Him. It is all Him. And if you can't see that now, you're going to see it after your death. Very simple. And if you don't see it after your death, you'll see it in the resurrection. And if you don't see it in the resurrection, some people will see it in their abode in paradise. And then, actually, to be fair, the Amir Abdul Qadir Jazairi says there are some people who will never see that. There are some people who will never realize that actually you're God. You are His madhar, you are His manifestation. Does that make more sense?
Yeah, but why?
But why? Because it's to do with wujud. All wujud is Him. And the different, I guess, ways wujud can show itself, can reveal itself, are just the different ways He's revealing Himself. That's why. Because He is wujud, and there is nothing in wujud but Him. If there could be like two wujuds, you'd be into shirk. Because then you'd have two beings who share their own ability to be independently self-existent. To be independently self-existent, which is impossible. It belongs to the category of muhal. It's not possible. Everything
No.
depends.
Logically, it isn't possible.
It's not possible. And then you also get into aqid as to why that's not possible. Because then you'd have two
No.
beings, like for
Sorry, I'm
example,
interrupting you, but my question is why there
yes,
will be people even after death and resurrection, they won't be able to know.
hmm, some people won't have that knowledge and won't see God that way. But to some people, Allah will give them kashaf, right? There's different levels of shuhud. There's different levels of mushahada. The lowest mushahada is to see that God owns everything. He is Malik al-Mulk. Very simply, everyone will see that, no matter who you are. But there's other people who will see that actually He's also wujud itself. Not everyone will get to see that, because not everyone has the same level of shuhud. Because not everyone has the same what ayn thabita or the same qabuliyah. They don't have the same ability to receive this knowledge of reality. So not everyone will see that.
So
Can I
you mean
offer an analogy, Siddhi?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
So it's like in our human body, we have cells that are alive and
Yes.
cells that are not alive. So blood cells, blood corpuscles are alive.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are certain cells that are not alive.
Yes.
And what if each blood cells though, that are alive, thought of themselves as separate, distinct? They had no idea that they belonged to me, that they were my blood cells, that they were
Precisely.
a function of me. In the same way, we are part of Allah, but in not just in the material way, as in the blood cells, but being just effects of Him, His creations, His like He would
Properties.
exist even if it didn't exist. I would
Yes.
not exist if all of my cells didn't exist, but Allah would exist even if all of us did not exist.
He would exist, but He wouldn't be known. Exactly. He
Yes.
would
Yeah.
exist. He is self-sufficiently existent, but He wouldn't be known.
And
Um,
not in a way that we can imagine,
yes.
because
Yes.
it's beyond our imagination.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good analogy. The blood cells think that they are independent. They're not. Their existence is dependent upon the existence of you.
Hmm.
That's exactly it. Um, like this reminds me of a wonderful story by Maulana Rumi. Uh, have you heard about the fetus story? So there's two babies, but they're
Yeah.
still in the mother's womb, about to be given birth. And then one baby says, you know, I heard, because when my mother speaks, I can hear her speak. I heard that outside there are things called trees, grass, water, houses, towns, cities, people, markets, sun, moon, mountains, wondrous things. But the second baby says, I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't believe in any of that, because it has no conception of what is beyond itself. until it's given birth. So that analogy is to do with the day of judgment, the resurrection. Like the prophets say, you'll see this, 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 and that on the day of judgment. And people will say, I don't know what you're talking about. But when you're born in the afterlife, then you'll actually see it.
And there are further analogies in this example as well, Siddhi. The fetus never eats or digests from his or her mouth, from the digestive tract.
Yes.
Whereas in this outer world, we actually use it for the first time. Same with the lungs. So they would never know that these lungs were meant for breathing, that they would be something dry, an air that they will breathe in from their nose.
SubhanAllah. Yeah, good. Good. That's really good, actually. Jazakallah khairan. Yes, please finish off with this paragraph. Go ahead.
Okay, I forget where am I? Because I got bumped out of
Sorry,
internet.
Dr. Faris, I had a question
Yes.
about
Yeah, go ahead.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, no. What you said about just now about the air and everything, it just reminded me, I guess, of when Allah says that it's the next life that is Dar al Akhirah is the hayawan. It's like the
Yes.
real life, and so we don't even know how we're going to be alive there. Like it's like a
Precisely.
whole different level of life. But what you were speaking about, like mushahada, and I think you said. The Amir al Jazairi said that certain people won't have
Yes.
witnessing even in at the end, I guess. But I was wondering, in the Quran, it says, I was reminded of this ayah,
Yes.
لقد كنت في غفلة من هذا فكشفنا عنك غطاءك فالبصرك اليوم حديد. And اليوم
Good.
is like,
Good. Yes.
yeah, يوم الوعيد. And so what's the kashf then? Like, what are they seeing?
No, that's excellent. Of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't specify what is being revealed in that ayah. But we know from tafsir, of course, that this is to do with the spiritual world and the fact that the material world is just a branch. The shahada is just a branch of the mother ocean, which is the ghaib. That's what becomes unveiled to every human being, no matter who you are. And then there's also the arifin who get this ayah now before they're dead. But they get this ayah in the sense that they see God as the one who's manifest in all things. That happens to them right now in this ayah. But what everyone gets is the fact like you see the spiritual world unveiled when that day comes, which is your death. And then you start seeing your works, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So in the case of the real.
In the case of the real, the properties are nothing other than the forms of the entire cosmos. That part of the cosmos which has become manifest and will become manifest. The properties derive from Him. Hence, he says, to Him belongs the property. 28:88. Then all of them return to being identical with Him.
Because all of it goes back to Him, because all of it is Him. Yeah, exactly.
Were it not for the names, we would not fear, hope, give, worship, listen, obey, or be addressed, nor would we address the named. Were it not for the properties which they possess, that is, the effects, you would not know the names. The properties of the names beautify the names and dress them in splendor, Baha, while the names beautify the named and dress him in splendor. Through us, the names become designated, so we dress him in the form of splendor. Within him, the names become manifest, so splendor subsists in him, for he is the named. The divine name is the spirit of its effect, while its effect is its form. Sight cannot see the name, only its effect, which is its form. Thus, when a person sees the corporeal form of Z, he can say correctly that he saw Z without any interpretation, ta'wil. His words are true even though Z has an unseen governing spirit, Ruh Mudabbir, while that spirit has a form which is his corporeality. So the effects of the divine names are the forms of the names. He who witnesses the forms says truly that he has witnessed the names.
Thank you, Umar. Did everyone get that?
So is the form of the name is different from the name of the name?
Yes.
Okay.
It's, I mean, it's not separate, but it's like distinct if you mean zero. Yes, it's distinct. Just like your spirit is distinct from your body, but it's obviously not separate. If that makes sense.
But doesn't everyone witness the form? Like everyone is going to witness Zed's body, for instance, or anybody's body. Like we witness human beings, and human
And
beings are
thus,
manifestations of God's names. But not
well,
everybody is called like a witness of the names, right? Like you said, there's different levels of mushahada. So not everyone is
oh
shaheed.
sure, oh sure. So you're talking about something else. Now, because the things are the forms of the names, everyone is seeing the names without a doubt. But to be a witnesser, in the technical sense of the word, someone who's witnessing these names, that's something else. No, not everyone is a witnesser in the technical meaning of the word. Because Sheikh Al-Akbar has two applications. He talks about the word in a very general way, so everyone is witnessing God, whether they know it or not. But the ones who know they're witnessing God, they're the ones who are called actual witnesses, right?
So the shaheed.
They're actual shaheed and shuhada, exactly. Yes, exactly. So they merit those names. Whereas you can actually be seeing Zayd, by the way, but you have no idea it's Zayd. You can be seeing Zayd, but you can also have no idea that it's Zayd. In that very same sense, people always see God, but they have no idea it's Him. On the Day of Judgment, as you said, Zanira, when their basar is hadid, they will see and be shown that they were always seeing God, but they had no idea. They had no idea. And then what comes is regret. The regret that God promises those who are in ghafla because they weren't paying attention.
So, Dr. Faris, I think Ghada was also getting at this, and she's written, what's it called? Typed her question out. And I'm also reminded of this ayah where Allah says, "Kalla innahum an rabbihim yawma idhin lamahjubun."
Yes.
So then, yeah, like I'm just wondering what this hijab is. I mean, obviously, like seeing Allah without a hijab, it's a gift, and not everyone gets that. So, like, what level of witnessing is that? And then it says, "Thumma innahum lasalul jahim." So it's like the people of Jahim, they're not going to be seeing. They're
Well,
going to be veiled.
yeah. So that's a threat, right? That's a threat against the oppressors and so on and so forth, right? That's a threat. يومئذ لمحجوبون. They will be veiled from the Lord. But what's the ayah before that? إلى ربهم ناظرة, right? Right? So then that's the believers. They'll be gazing upon their Lord, right? And then there's a hadith to that effect, right? That you should all see your Lord on the day of judgment. And the Sahaba said, will we really see him? And then Rasulullah, he said, you will see him the same way you look at the sun on a cloudless day or a moon on a cloudless night when the moon is in its full manifestation, when it's a full moon. So there's like no doubt you will see him. The threat to be veiled means that God will turn away from the unbelievers and so on and so forth. That's the meaning of it. It's a threat. But how exactly will he veil himself? I don't know. But he will veil himself from the, or rather, let's say he doesn't veil himself. If you read the ayah carefully, they will be veiled. They're veiled, right? God does not say he veils himself. They are the ones who are veiled. No, that's the verse, right? They're veiled.
Right, subhanallah. But so I don't know. It doesn't clearly say that. Later on, afterwards, it says, "إن الأبرار لفي نعيم على الأرائك ينظرون."
Yes.
But it doesn't say that
Correct.
they're looking at God necessarily.
No,
Like,
but I mean, no, it does in the previous verse, just not that verse. If you go back to the previous verse, إِلَى رَبِّهِمْ.
I think that's another surah. This is from Mutaffifin.
Is it not in Mutaffifin?
No, I think that's
Oh.
in Qiyam, if I remember correctly. But it's not here. But anyway, so I'm just wondering about Lamahjubun versus this hijab
Yeah.
versus like the kashf of كشفنا عنك غطاءك فبصرك اليوم حديد, because that is also, because you said this is a threat, which is, it's true, like God is saying this is part of the punishment, but actually before the Jahim, the worst thing is actually not going to hell, but not being able to see God. That's even worse. But then on the ayat about Yawm al-Wa'id says that فكشفنا عنك غطاءك فبصرك اليوم حديد, and that's also speaking about people that were in ghafla. So, but that one's also a threat. But that threat is for kashf. So, like, while this is for hijab. So it just seems,
Yeah. No. So obviously, when the veil is lifted, they'll see their works. It's not God they necessarily have to see; it's their works. That's the meaning. It's the spiritual realities of what they've done on this earth. No, and then they'll be veiled from seeing their Lord on the day of judgment. So one of the punishments and mercies, it's a punishment and mercy at the same time for the people of hell, is that they don't see God, right? They're not allowed to see Him. And then Sheikh Al-Akbar says there's a reason for that. He says that because in hell, the people of hell are punished for a certain period of time, but then what's called the Shumul al-Rahma comes, the universality and all-encompassing love of God's mercy overcomes them, and then the punishment stops. When that happens, they cannot go back to seeing God, because if they did, that would bring shame for all the wrong they've done. But the period of shame has come to an end, so they will not be allowed to see Him fully. Although He says that, like in the gates of hell, it has holes in it. It's like you see in those movies, like old gates with like light perforating through the holes in it. He says, to the extent they used to do makaram al akhlaq, good deeds in this world, they'll be able to see Him through those holes. But they're not going to get like a full vision where they can see that God's looking at them and they're looking at Him, because that would bring shame because of what they did on earth. That's the reason they don't see Him. So that's another one of its meanings. And sorry, Ghad, I just saw the typed question now, so let me just read it out. My question actually about, I thought that after death, all we return to Allah. Yeah, we do. And we get to know the truth, but it seems that even after death, there are different levels. Of course, no, there's no question that there are different levels of consciousness of souls up to eternity. No question about it. So in the actual reality and the akhirah, those levels will still, yes. Those levels would 100% exist. Like, I'm not going to know everything that the Arif knows when I die. In some ways it's true, but it's like the Arif, he sees all the things that are happening in the ghaib. Well, we get to see them too when we die, but he benefits from seeing them now because he gets to act upon what he sees and does the good works, right? But there's all certain levels of spiritual achievement about God's reality, the haqa'iq. Some people are veiled from that forever because it's not within their capacity to know God as much as they do. That goes back to the metaphor of the cup. Some people's cups are bigger, some people's cups are smaller. Some people can take more of God, some can only take a certain amount of God, and that's all they know of Him. So those realities, those different levels you're talking about, Ghada, they continue forever and ever, past into death and past death. Okay, go ahead, Huma, but let me know if that makes sense or not. So no possible thing.
Yeah, it makes sense, Siddhi, because that's why there are different stations and different kinds
Precisely.
of heavens, right?
Oh, you just reminded me. So thank you so much, Huma. That's exactly it. So there's also something called the Al-Kathib or Al-Abiyad, I think. Al-Kathib al-Bayda. There's something called the white dune of vision, right? Al-kathib al-ru'ya. That's what it is. Al-kathib al-ru'ya. We talked about this before. So the people of Jannah, when they enter Jannah, there's an activity they all do. There's different activities. But one of them is they're all called by the angels to come to the Kathib al-Abyad, which is the white dune. This is the dune of vision. It's where God unveils himself to everyone. He shows himself to everyone. So everyone has different seats. So some people their maqam is higher, so their seat is closer to God. Other people they're farther, so they get a farther seat, right? And then when he unveils himself, right? Then what happens is that you see him according to the number of beliefs you used to acknowledge in this world. So the one who acknowledged God in one belief, he sees God with one nur, one light. The person who believed, who saw God in two beliefs, he sees him with two lights. And the person who saw God in all beliefs, he sees God with all the lights, and all the lights are shown to him. Right? That's exactly the same thing you're talking about, Huma. Different people have different stations at this dune, and we're drawn to them like magnets. We're drawn to them like magnets. Like we wouldn't be able to go to a different station even if we wanted to. It's not possible. Like all your hopes, all your aspirations end up in this one station because it's yours. You can't go past it even if you wanted to because this is you. This is who you are, and this is what you're able to see. And then some people are higher, some people are lower, and the ones who are lower, they don't feel the lowness. They don't feel upset. They're happy with where they are.
Because that was the highest that they could think of God, right? Like he
And-
is as you imagine him to be. So that is what they imagined him to be.
Good. And that's the most they could know about him, but also experientially. Yes. In terms of dhawq and tasting. That's the most they could know about him. This is as much as they could do. They can't do more than that. This is their limit.
If it's like people who see colors with tetra, what is it, chromoids or whatever, and those who see it in trichromoids or dichromoids, those who don't have the four cones for vision, we don't even know what that is. So we don't miss it because we can't imagine it. But we know as materially that there exist people who seem infinitely, or to the exponent more colors.
And there's also people who are colorblind. Yeah, exactly.
And those who are colorblind, who don't see the colors that red trichromoid people see.
By the way, Ghada, so you point out something else just now, right? And thank you, Huma, because this is related. That's when you get to the end. That's when you get to the end. Development. So if this is what you reach at your death, spiritual development can continue into the barzakh. It continues. There are indications that your spiritual development continues in the barzakh. Ajib.
Spiritual evolution or containment?
Evolution.
Evolution, yeah. Learning.
But not just evolution. Like if you couldn't reach a certain maqam in this world, it's possible like the angels or the prophets or the awliya will help you reach it in the next world. This is totally possible. And the awliya talk about it all the time.
So the prayers that we do for our ancestors would also help in that respect, right?
SubhanAllah, why not? And then your ancestors help you. This is what the Confucians do. This is totally possible. You're right. Yeah. Because what the ancestors give you is called madad, like assistance. And that's not far-fetched at all. Sorry, Noor, go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
My question was, it's not really a question, a thought. When I heard the word certain people are colorblind and certain people are, this chromatic, that chromatic, cannot see these things. Isn't it by khadr, you say, by nasib, that it's the way it will be for them? Because everything's written. See these things.
Yes.
and the evolution for them is written that it will happen in Barzakh.
Well, I mean, spiritual development takes place, right? The journey hasn't ended yet. It only ends when you enter the garden of the fire. That's when it ends. It doesn't end before that. It still continues. This is why, thank you for touching upon this, Noor, exactly. That's why there's a hadith in Sahih Bukhari, right? And many of you will know this hadith. So the Mir al-Jairi gives his own interpretation of the hadith, in which Rasul um, he does not pray for his mother at her grave, and he does not want to do, and he does not accept to do so, right? So some people have ignorantly taken that to mean that she died a disbeliever, right? When we say na'udhu billah to that, we have the best opinion of the parents of Rasulullah. So then the Emir al-Jazairi said, some stupid people said that. So he said, that's not what it means. This is what it means. It means that in Allah's wisdom and knowledge, the Prophet ﷺ knew that he wanted to delay this prayer, which is for his mother, to a specific moment on the day of judgment, so he can intercede for her at that moment. And so he will intercede for her at that moment, on the day of judgment. And so, which is an indication that these developments can continue into the barzakh. Another example, there's a place called the Araf on the day judgment, right? It's like a certain level. It's for people whose good deeds and bad deeds don't outweigh each other. So then there's a point on the plane on the day of judgment when people are called to bow down to Allah. So they bow down. These people on the Araf, they prostrate, and that takes them out of the deadlock between their sins and their good deeds, and it increases their good deeds, and they go into paradise. So it continues in many different ways. Thank you, Hannah, and I'd love to see those examples as well. Yeah, okay. If there are no more thoughts on that, sorry, Noor, I don't know if that's what you wanted to get at. Then we'll carry on as well. No possible thing?
Okay. No possible thing is brought into existence without there being found within it the effects of those divine names that are connected, muta'alliq, to the engendered things, al-akwan. However, within that specific possible thing, one of the names will have a stronger effect and greater property than the others. And therefore, that thing will be attributed nisbah to it. In the same way, in astrology, Sunday is attributed to the planet of the seventh sphere, Monday to that of the fourth sphere, and so on for each day. Nevertheless, each planet has a property and an effect in each day. But the specific planet to which the day is attributed has a greater and stronger property than the other planets.
Interesting. Who was asking me about astrology in the one of the chat rooms? Anyways, because I forgot about this passage. It might have been Venus, but I forget, which is very appropriate given her name. Yeah. Okay. So shall we just let me take a quick look to see where are we? Okay, maybe we'll try and get up to the names of engendered existence. So let's do that. If you want to continue, Huma.
Okay. In one passage, Ibn al-Arabi sets out to explain that even attributes like poverty, iftiqar, which cannot be attributed to God, have their roots in the divine names. For the reality of poverty is need, and it can be said that God in respect of certain names, has need of the cosmos. In the process of explaining this, the Sheikh brings together much of what has been said about the names to this point. Someone may object, you have stated that there is no reality and no relationship in the cosmos that does not emerge from a divine relationship. But among the relationships is poverty. And Abu Yazid, who moreover is one of the people of unveiling and finding, said that God said to him in one of his visions, approach me through that which I do not possess, lowliness, dhilla, and poverty. Fikr, fakr. This answer is as follows. You should know, O seeker of truth, that the real possesses mercy, pardon, generosity, forgiveness, and other things of this sort, which have been mentioned as his most beautiful names. He possesses these in reality. He also possesses vengeance, al-intiqam, and terrible assault, al-batsh, al-shadid. So he is compassionate, pardoner, generous, forgiver, and possessor of vengeance. It is impossible that the effects of these names be found within him, or that he be a locus, mahal, for these effects. So towards whom is he compassionate? Whom does he pardon? To whom is he generous? Whom does he forgive? From whom does he exact vengeance? Hence, one has to say that God the Creator demands created things, makhluk, and the created things demand the Creator. Therefore, there must be a cosmos, since the divine realities demand it. We have already explained that God as an essence cannot be understood in the same way as God as a God. Therefore, there are two different levels, martaba, though there is nothing in entified existence, al-wujud al-aini, save the one entity. In respect of himself, he is independent of the worlds, but in respect of the most beautiful names which demand the cosmos because of its possibility, imkan, in order for their effects to become manifest within it. He demands the existence of the cosmos. If the cosmos already existed, he would not have sought its existence. So the names are like a family dependent upon him, and the master strives for the sake of his dependents. The creature are his extended family, while the names are the immediate household. The cosmos asks from him because of its possibility, while the names ask from him in order for their effects to become manifest. This is what is given by the realities in themselves, and they do not change. If the realities changed, order would be destroyed, and there would be no knowledge whatsoever, no real, no creation. Ibn al-Arabi provides a definition of the divine names, employing much of the above terminology in a context which reminds us that although he expresses his ideas philosophically, he did not think them out in the philosophical manner, since they are the fruit of unveiling and opening. While writing the present section, I fell asleep and saw a heralding vision, Mubashira, in which it was recited to me, He has laid down for you as law what He charged Noah with, and what we have revealed to thee, O Muhammad, and what we charged Abraham with, and Moses, and Jesus. perform the religion, and scatter not regarding it. Very hateful is that for the idolaters, that to which thou art calling them. Quran 42nd Surah Ayat 13. That is, the oneness to which thou art calling them, since God is many in his properties. He possesses the most beautiful names, and each name is a mark, alama, upon an intelligible reality which is different from other realities. When the cosmos comes from non-existence into existence, its faces are many, and these seek the names. I mean the objects named, even though the entity is one. In the same way, the cosmos, in respect of being a cosmos, is one, but it is many through its properties and individuals.
Thank you so much, Homa. I think we're gonna stop there. This will be the next section. So please, people can write down in the chat room, page 41. Page 41. Yes, I'm gonna stop there. Any questions? By the
I'm
way, I
still
thought
stuck.
I think Homa's got a great reading voice as well. Very suitable. Thank you so much, Homa. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm still stuck on that levels of souls after
Yeah,
death. But let me reflect on it more, and then maybe I can ask the questions properly.
sure thing. Okay. Okay.
Sidi, in Surah Rahman,
Yes.
when Allah starts with, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Ar-Rahman, Allama al-Quran, Khalaq al-Insan, Allamahul Bayan. It feels like he's actually also describing the cosmos as being, the first thing, Ar-Rahman, which is also not just his name, but also the womb, the nafs, which embraces all cosmos like a womb. And then within it, Alam al-Quran is the entire cosmos. And Alama is not just he teaches the Quran, but also the alamat. Everything is the alama. So the whole cosmos is embraced in that alam al-Quran.
MashaAllah.
And
Jameel
then
Jiddan. Yeah.
Khalaqul Insan, the center, in a sense, the center of the cosmos. And then we are made to embrace Allamahul Bayan. It's part of his rahmat, it's part of his plan of creation that he teaches us to navigate the alamat by teaching us how to learn from them. And the bayan is that two-ness, in-betweenness. So we need to be able to connect the dots. And that connect the dots requires at least two dots.
Yes. Yes.
So it's almost like he's presenting the full of rahmat, the plan for the cosmos in these first 4 lines. And again, all those other things of, how Rahma precedes teaching, precedes ilm. Just in the way the shape, the structure of the cosmos is exactly the same. It is Rahma and then something included in it, like a womb which has to precede the fetus that goes inside it.
Yeah, that's definitely one way you could look at it. That's a really beautiful interpretation. Yeah, mashallah. And so, yeah, I think we'll come more onto that in First Shu'aib, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, mashallah, jazakallah khairan. All right, guys. If there are no more thoughts and no more questions, then yeah, let me stop the recording, and we'll call it tonight, inshallah.